this dude right here. Check it out. Alright, so today I'm doing a review on the Chicago Cutlery L36 1980s piece of junk, awesome knife. I'll tell you the reason it's awesome in a minute. So this is my first review of a knife. I wanted to pick one that was sort of inconsequential, and we'll just get started. Okay, so like I said, this is a 1980s classic. I'll see if you can check out the L36 Chicago Cutlery, partially stamped, in a hurry. I got this from my dad. So first I'll tell you how he got it. I was with him at a tool show, and well, you can call it a tool show. It's a local VFW, has a tractor trailer full of knockoff tools and stuff they come through every now and then, where you can get a extension cord for $8 and different things. And they had a bin of these, and I was probably in 10th grade or something. They had a bin of these. They were probably $2 or $3 each. The Buck 110 Classic was very popular at the time. All of my buddies had one. And so Dad got this one, and he put it in his toolbox and promptly abused it into oblivion. So let's go over the condition a little bit. This here is, let's see if you can get that. That is broken. I don't know what caused that. But if you can look, let's see. Right there, you can see the disconnect. And I'm sure my father was beating on something and broke it and then didn't care because it was a cheap knife. All over here is, just good memories of my dad right here. I can just imagine all of the tight spots he was in, and a lot of this was probably just in his toolbox getting banged around and all that. Oh, and here's the added bonus. Look, okay, it's in the lock position. Oh, we won't even worry about being locked. Check it out. So anyway, it's a great knife for me just because this reminds me of my father. And right before he passed, how I got a hold of this. Right before he passed, he had brain cancer, so he was losing his ability to do things. So he wanted me to have his truck, and this knife is an example of the type of things he bought. And I'll tell you, his truck was I think his last truck was a 2003 F-150 long bed with the V8. So at least he had the V8 in it. He splurged for the V8, but it was white with the steel wheels, the gray plastic seats. That's just the kind of stuff he bought. He bought things to work, and he didn't feel like spending a whole bunch of money on something. He told me once he couldn't justify getting a big, nice shiny four-wheel drive that would never see the mud. So anyway, that was that was the way he looked at things. So anyway, he gave me this truck. I couldn't use it. I don't like it. I didn't like it. And so instead of selling it, I knew this guy that needed a vehicle. You know those guys that they go around and they just help everybody? Well, this was my friend, and he was, every old lady in the church knew his phone number, and they are always calling him to move washer and dryer or limbs out of the yard or something. And his truck broke down, so I said, "Hey, how about this old F-150?" He jumped at it. He's the same type of guy that my dad was. They're both Army guys. Anyway, so so that's where I got. Oh, so then when I gave that truck to my buddy, he came over and said, "Hey, look what I found under the seat," or I don't know where he found it. And somewhere in the cab was this old. I remember this old knife, and so I don't use it much, just because it sucks. It's not. It's not a good knife. By the way, if you ever sitting at home reading or chilling or watching TV, and you feel all of a sudden you hear something and it sounds like your house is falling apart, like you just got sucked up into a tornado, then it's possible this is in the dryer. That this was in your pants and you put it in the washer and in the dryer. This makes so much. This made so much of a racket. You wouldn't believe it. So that's where I got it. I want to just practice doing a few things here. So our blade length on this fine piece of equipment is Also, that's a question. If you're a knife guy and you want to answer this question for me, I'd appreciate it. I'm looking at about 4 inches, 3, all the way to the scale here is, less than 3 3/4. But if you, how do you measure the blade length? Do you go to this piece right here, or all the way to the handles? That's I wouldn't mind knowing if that's a standard. Also, just another funny story about my dad. I was thinking, all right, if I'm doing a knife video, I need to know the thickness of the steel. I see a lot of people doing that. So I didn't have any calipers. Then I remember I did, and some of my dad's stuff. He was an engineer, so instead of my dad's stuff, I remember there was calipers. So guess what? I went out to my shop, and I found this, and he drew a picture of the calipers just so we know what's in the box, and then he labeled the top with the top. And just in case you didn't see that, if you're approaching from one of the sides, okay, or the front, it must have been important to him to know which side was up on this thing. And then, so for some reason you were sneaking up on this thing from the back, you would know that where the top is. My guess is he opened this wrong side up one time and was so frustrated he decided he would fix that situation forever. So that's where he's at. So as I opened it up, I noticed some other things that was typical to my dad. So if you'll see these calipers, they're nice. This battery should not be showing like that. There should be a little cover there, and there isn't. So I had to push this battery down to do some measuring. So we'll do that, see how that goes. Can y'all see that? So my blade thickness, according to these busted up calipers, 3.1519. As you can tell, I'm not used to using calipers too much. The main use for this knife, besides all the nostalgia, is I'm not any good at, I'm new to the whole knife game, and I can explain that in another video later, but I don't know how to sharpen a knife. So what I've been doing, I bought some stones, and I've looked up some other stuff on how to sharpen a knife, and I'm just getting started, and I figured this old joker here is the best thing to practice on. So that's what I've been using. And when my buddy first gave this to me from the truck, it was completely dull. I mean, rounded. I don't think it would cut anything. It wouldn't even stab anything. This point here, I'll show it to you. It's kind of sharper now, but this point here was rounded. It was beat to junk. And what I just decided to do was just use this to practice. And if I ruin it, I've got some nicer knives that I've been buying lately that I want to review. But I figured I would start on this guy just to see. And it can kind of cut paper. I've seen it. I tried to cut paper. Let's see what it'll do here. Just... okay, sort of. Not nearly good like some of the videos I've seen. Anyway, that's my first knife review. We'll see how that goes. And I'm just going to leave you with that. Most people are happiest when they're teaching or learning about something interesting. That's one of my mottos in life. So stay curious.